Today on This Week in Startups, we'll chat with SmartyPants co-founder and co-CEO Courtney Nichols. And does the A in AOL stand for Arrington? All that and more right now on This Week in Startups.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I'm most definitely from.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another This Week in Startups. I am your host, Jason Calacanis. I am here with Tyler Crowley. How are you, sir?
I'm fine today.
And how goes the new startup? There's documents flying around. There's angel investors flying around. People are asking me, how do I get on the deal?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get my piece? Mm-hmm. I say, all I know is my piece has already been reserved. Mm-hmm. I have to be the first one. But how is it going? You're on the cusp of being an entrepreneur.
Yes, and I've actually dabbled in a little weekend project as a little warm-up that I don't know that you're even aware of.
Well, do tell.
There's a fun little side one that I just kicked off to kind of test, pinging people and the whole process of launching. I did a little weekend fun project called Hey Sweetheart.
Hey Sweetheart. Is that heysweetheart.com?
Yeah.
Hey Sweet. Describe it.
Hey Sweetheart is a subscriber phone service for lonely people.
A subscriber service.
Yes.
For lonely people.
Yes. So they can have a sweetheart call them every day to check in and let them know that they are loved and missed. And
wait a second. Have you been doing this to people in my circle?
No.
Because somebody in my circle said, I've been getting phone calls from somebody, and they say something really nice to me, and then they hang up.
What's your friend's name?
Well, it would be my wife.
No.
So that's why I'm kind of concerned.
Okay, so no.
Okay, so wait. What happens in here? I put in the person to call.
I have the subscriber list right in front of me.
Okay, so I have the person to call. So I type in Jason. I put my number, 310-456-4900, female caller, any additional instructions. Tell him how smart he is.
Oh my God, that's genius. You can give them a specific...
And I can just do it for a 6-month subscription or whatever. So how often are they going to call them?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're crowdsourcing friendship?
Yes.
When did you come up with this idea, and why was I not included in
this?
This
was based
that's
off
the best idea I've heard in so long.
Oh my God.
So this is totally, with all due credit given to this young guy who I believe is in New York, named Zachary Burt, or Burt Zach, I get them backwards. And he's doing a site where he's calling people every day to tell them they're awesome, which might be the one that you're getting.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And
it's the awesome service phone call, yeah.
Yes. And if they call and say that you're awesome. And
so it's like an affirmation service.
That one is very much like just have a great day. You're awesome. So I was thinking, what would be even stranger?
Yes. Well, this has certainly got a Japanese thing.
That was the thought. I was like, how would Japan spin this?
Yeah, this would be the way. It's awesome. And what else is awesome, as you know, is GoDaddy. GoDaddy, starting for as little as $5 a month. They promise 99.9% uptime, 24-hour support, 7 days a week. I love GoDaddy. I've been using them for over a decade. They now offer website hosting, unlimited disk space, and bandwidth for less than $15 a month. Hey Sweetheart is hosted, of course, at GoDaddy, and the domain was bought at GoDaddy. And wow, what a service. Tyler uses it. I use it. I have 2,000 domains parked there, probably net value $500,000 to $750,000 worth of domains. And why do I put almost $1 million in domains on GoDaddy? Because I trust them. And they'll pick up the phone and talk to me if I need help. Not that I do, because the web service is so well designed. Please do me a favor and enter code TWIST749, TWIST749 when you check out, and your domain name will go for just $749. What a great deal. Some restrictions, of course, apply. Like if you got 18 different coupons, you can't use all of them at once. That's obvious. Get your piece of the internet, GoDaddy. And we're giving away an iPad. This weekend is giving away an iPad to somebody at random who tweets a thank you to the sponsor. So go ahead and thank GoDaddy. And you can do this if you're listening to the show live. You can do it if you're listening to the show on your iPod. Just take a moment and thank at GoDaddy for sponsoring independent media. Put #twist at the end. And we're just going to pick one of you guys in the next week and give you an iPad. And I'm not talking about just like the cheapo iPad. We're going to get the 3G one, of course. That's how we roll here. And GoDaddy, awesome. And we really do appreciate their support. I met my guest today in 1996 or so, 95?
Yeah.
In New York City at Silicon Alley Reporter. At the time, I don't even remember where you were working, but
24/7. I'd helped start
24/7, yes.
Riddler.com, which
Wow.
became 24/7 Media.
Now, this is
Very
really far
early
back.
days.
Riddler was one of the first 10 internet
That's
companies
right.
in New York City.
That's right.
Riddler was a genius idea. Basically, it was a sweepstakes company,
It was using gaming to get information to sell to advertisers targeted.
which is exactly what a lot of Zynga is today.
Yeah.
Literally almost 2 decades later.
Yeah.
And you were right there working in Silicon Alley. I came along and started a magazine. We became fast friends. We'd see each other a couple of nights a week at parties, had 100 mutual friends, and then all hell happened, and somehow we both wound up in Los Angeles.
That's right.
You've got a great new company called SmartyPants,
Yep.
which makes children's vitamins, but it's really an internet play, and so we're going to learn a lot about what you're doing in relation to that. And full disclosure, I love the idea so much. I asked you, can I angel invest in this a couple of months ago?
You're very happy about.
You cut a little piece out for me. I got a little slice. I got a taste, and I'm really excited about it. And interestingly enough, we had EcoMom on
That's right.
on Friday, and they're doing distribution right now for you guys.
That's right, and he's done a phenomenal job.
So tell me, let's start with SmartyPants.
Sure.
What is the origin of it? And what are you aiming to do here? Because I see kids' vitamins. I go to the store. There's a gazillion kids' vitamins.
Right.
Why do I care about this one?
So, well, we'll start with kind of where it started from, because that actually is part of what's different about it, right? So the company came out of a conversation really between parents and healthcare practitioners about preventative health care for kids. The reality is, if you go in, like you said, you go to Whole Foods, you see a bunch of kids' vitamins, but they were all started by vitamin companies adding a vitamin for kids, which is very different than starting a company from the ground up around trying to solve this issue. That really is, you know this, right?
Yeah.
You're a new parent. The amount of information the amount of shoulds that get thrown at you, right? Oh, make sure there's no plastic in this thing. Make sure that they're eating 100% organic heirloom tomatoes. Make sure there's no. The list is very long, and we all want to do the right thing for our kids, but there's also the reality. You cannot force feed kids, right? So we absolutely agree that you should always get as many nutrients as you can from fruits and vegetables, that it should be organic. But there are two realities. One is that the soil itself isn't what it used to be. And two, that you really, as hard as you try, you can't make kids get what they need. And some of those things like vitamin D, you can only get from the sun. You don't get from food. Not in the quantities that you really need it. So the idea was, could we create a company that tried to solve this real problem for parents, right? We're not going to create a problem. We want to try to solve a problem that already exists. And do it in a way that's different from what's already out there. So really communicate to parents the story and make a bigger brand to really be the vitamin water of the vitamin business, right? So vitamin water, really branded water, and turned it into something bigger than just water. And that's our goal with vitamins, because no one's really telling the story about brain health, about what vitamins really mean to your kid in terms of their future and their development. And that's
a lot
really
of
where
this
it came
is
out.
very new. I mean, when we first had conversations about it, and I do a lot of due diligence when
Right.
I'm going to invest in something, you talked about this issue like, hey, the soil isn't as nutrient rich. Even the organic stuff isn't as dense in terms of the vitamins. So even if you think you're feeding your kid healthy,
and you may be,
and you may be 100%
following all
healthy,
the rules,
following all the rules, they still may come up short.
That's right.
And then there's tons and tons of research that's coming out, and I started looking at the Stanford research and some of the stuff you guys sent me, and wow, like a lot of these things, like the DHA and all that stuff. This is massively important for developing brains.
That's right.
And adults, it's important, but for kids, uber important. And so starting a brand from the bottom up does what for you guys exactly? Does it help you connect with the audience better? Does it, because it seems like the incumbents would have some advantage. So what is your advantage?
Well, and it takes you to what's special, right, about the brand. So one is we do have a story, which is a lot of the brands don't have, i.e. we're made from the ground up to address this problem. And so what goes into our product, we don't have any of the fake stuff. We have the good stuff. But here's what's different. So from a product standpoint, it's all in one. So if you go to the store shelves right now and you want to get the DHA and you want to get 100% of the vitamin D recommended, and you want a multivitamin, you have to buy 3 products. This is the first all-in-one product, so that saves money and time for people. So from that perspective, it's different. From a distribution standpoint, going online makes it more about not just the product, but the story and the information around brain health. So online, we can communicate and provide tools to parents around nutrient guides. Here are recipes that are brain friendly. We create more of a relationship with the consumer than the big guys do, and they're not interested in doing that.
And so, as much as you guys are as much as you're a product company, you are a content company and a community company, or no?
I mean,
because when you look at the website.
The website has a lot of content, but I think you've got to own what you are, because I think if you try to do both, you end up not doing either one extremely well. So first and foremost, we have to be a product company. We have to take pride in the product, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to contextualize the product. And that's what's different, because the vitamin companies aren't doing that. And parents care about this. This is a real issue. You'll start hearing Oprah talked about brain health is going to become the next sort of area of conversation for kids and development. And that's also why what's different about us is we have this matching program. So for every bottle that we sell, we donate a bottle through Vitamin Angels to a child in need. We make a matching nutrient grant to a child in need. So our commitment is we want to help 1 million children in 5 years. We're going to help not only our customers, but other kids and families around the world. And mothers really resonate with that message.
Yeah. And that's,
so that's
something
what's different.
People seem to be now, with so many products in the market, having parity. I'm not saying these are as good as the other ones. I'm sure people will argue, but when you start to get to sort of, they're vitamins and these are vitamins, if one of them is doing something socially conscious, I've seen some statistics that came out of Cone. Women are 80 or 90% more loyal to the brands that have some cause affiliation, whether it's Tom's Shoes
Amazing.
or...
That's right.
It's unbelievable. I mean...
Yeah, and it's the difference between adding it on versus it being a part of the brand from the beginning.
Right.
So there are lots of people who add a little logo and, and say, hey, we donate X amount, but the one for one and sort of making that a part of our mission from the ground up is a very different thing. And, Jody just did something great. We gave him a bunch of bottles, and he sent them out to a lot of bloggers to say, hey, this is a new product. What do you think? And it came from a trusted source, which is a really key part of the marketing, right?
Yeah.
So it came through Jody. It wasn't us sending it.
He was on the last episode, episode 80, if you haven't watched it, and for EcoMom, and he talks to every single customer who orders from his site.
That's right. But so we have now gotten so much feedback over the last 2 weeks from bloggers, and they all say the same thing. We've gotten amazing reviews. We're thrilled with the response, and they all point out 3 things: the all-in-one saves you time and money, the Get Health, Give Health, which is sort of how we've branded the matching program, and the story of the company sort of being focused on this issue. And so clearly it's resonating. Like now we're getting the evidence that this is what we really need to focus on, is the vision, because that is what connects on an emotional level, and that's why you're seeing that social marketing, those cause marketing statistics that you see.
So those 3 things are the things that are resonating. The bloggers have confirmed that for you.
That's right.
What role do the bloggers play now? I mean, people talk about this mommy bloggers phenomenon, and I've had so many people tell me, like, since people associate me with blogging, like, oh, how do I get 100 bloggers to do something,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, I had 500 working for me, but I don't know how to get them to do something. These are very independent, critical thinkers. But this mommy blogger movement has become like it's almost like a swing vote on brands.
Yeah.
How do you connect with these people, and how important are they?
Well, I think they're important, but it's actually a really interesting area because it's in transformation right now. So what happened was you had a couple big bloggers that made sort of waves. Then you had millions of moms. Deuce is one. Heather Armstrong. There are a couple others that are really big that have made a big impact. And then you had lots and lots of moms, understandably, saying, "Hey, I'm at home, or I've got spare time, and I have experiences to report." But they don't quite know what to do with it. And then you had a backlash from brands because some of the mommy bloggers, and this is not true of a lot of them, were saying, hey, send me stuff and maybe I'll review it, maybe I won't. So I think there was a settling out of kind of how things would go. And the real mom bloggers who truly are interested in reviewing products have a lot of integrity. We found them to be incredibly honest, which we love. Like they'll say what they don't like about it. And then we get to be in conversation with them. So they're important, but I think there's a difference between being able to say I love something and actually knowing how to sell it. And their job isn't to sell it. Their job is to review it.
Right.
And it is slightly different. And I think we had an illusion when we started, like, oh, the bloggers will sell lots of, there's Open Sky. I don't know if you've looked at Open Sky. It's a fascinating business.
Open Sky is very interesting.
And John, the CEO, is a super smart guy.
Explain what it is.
So Open Sky is basically a marketplace where they bring what they call sellers and suppliers together. So the sellers are bloggers who are trying to find a way to easily monetize their content.
Right.
And the suppliers are people like us. And so Open Sky takes a percentage and they introduce products to sellers. So you do it by content. So I'll enter moms or kids products, and it'll pull up a list of bloggers that I can send my product to and say, hey, if you're interested, you could sell this on your OpenSky store. And their readers will see on their page a little link to an OpenSky store.
Right.
So it's a fascinating idea, but when we first started, I think we didn't realize the amount of work that we probably needed to do to follow on with the bloggers. Once they said, hey, I love this product, okay, you love it, but here's how you might want to sell it, because just putting it up isn't really going to move it.
So they are, in some ways, not only marketing, but are they a full-on distribution channel now? Are they the equivalent of Amazon, or like a bunch of micro Amazons?
I think that's where he wants to go, and it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, that's where OpenSky wants to go.
That's
so
right.
OpenSky is like a commission junction or affiliate or something like that designed for these people, or is it more like?
I think Amazon is more where he, from at least I think he would say from a brand association standpoint, that's where he wants to go. That's right. So we'll see. We'll see how much hand-holding the bloggers need to turn what is a positive review that they independently felt good about into actual sales, and that's hard to tell.
And what about this blurring line? I mean, people are used to church and state. Either you are an independent reviewer of movies, or it's advertising. I mean, this is just sort of like you're taking the bottle and putting it right in the middle, like, hey, review this and sell it.
Well,
or review it and you're getting something for free. I mean, how do they maintain their integrity?
Well, I think I think the positive thing is that OpenSky came after this shakeout happened. So exactly what you're talking about is I think what was going on 2 years before, which is they had a bunch of people, brands saying, oh, great, I can give you free product and give me a good review.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any value, and I think the readers are smart enough to sniff that stuff out, right? And so I think the real bloggers and the people and there are a lot of them, saw, hey, it's in my interest to really talk about the things I actually really like. So the way OpenSky works is not, hey, you should like this, and if you do, you'll get free product. It's review it. I send you a bottle to review. If you like it, that's great. If you like it enough that you want to recommend it, that's great, and here's how you can sell it. But we don't go in and say, hey, we're going to give you a year's free products if you say you like it.
It's interesting. I got this issue totally wrong. When I was doing Weblogs Inc., I tried to hold the line. I tried to hold, we can't get these products for free. We have to return them and all this stuff. And I just thought the integrity would be compromised. And it turns out people have maintained their integrity while getting free product. Because I was an old school journalist.
But I think within reason. You don't want to give. I think we don't ever send a lot of product to anyone. So we'll send one bottle because you need to be able to taste it. There's no way for you to review it if you're not tasting the product.
And what are we talking about here? This is $30 or something. It's not like you're
not even. No,
not even
it's less
$20.
Than that. Yeah, and you want to be able to see what it looks like. And I mean, if you're a reviewer, you do need to see it. But ours is such a small amount of money. We're not trading for good reviews.
The thing that's happening to me all the time now is I will buy something that's expensive or cool, and then they can't believe I bought it, and then they send me another one.
Which is great, though. See, that's because they know that you care, that you were interested enough.
Right.
But with this product, people need to try it, though. It's something you're giving your kid.
It's consumable,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think people want to make sure the kids like the taste, that sort of thing.
So, what does it run somebody to put their kid on this per month? Because it's a subscription service.
It is. You can buy a single bottle. Right. That's more expensive. Obviously, we want people to sign. The subscription is $17.95 a month, which is, if you bought the 3 supplements individually, would run you somewhere from $30 to $55. So it's a lot less than if you're buying all the supplements, which is why our first market is people who already give their kids a couple different, who probably give their kids a DHA fish oil and a multi.
And they look like candy.
Taste good. Yeah, and they taste really good. In fact,
oh my God, it's so delicious.
Right?
Tyler, you have to have some.
Have you had some? I brought, for low blood sugar. They're very good. We've had a lot of grown-ups sneaking
Oh my God.
these.
The thing is,
we learned this summer.
I don't like swallowing vitamins.
Yeah, this is adults. I'm telling you. People, we're adding something that says SmartyPants is good for grown-ups too.
Oh my
because
God.
we've had so many people call and write and say, that I'm taking these myself because I don't like horse pills. And that's the exact phrase they use.
I can't swallow. My doctor said you got to take this vitamin C thing, blah blah blah.
Yeah, vitamin C's are
I'm
big.
getting old. I'm gonna be 40 years old. Blah blah blah. I'm just
that's
totally
not
screwed.
old. I'm 40, and that's very young.
Exactly.
Let's be clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's see. The kid's serving is 4, so that means as an adult I can eat
6.
12 of these.
6. Trust me, Gordon and
Wow.
I, we have eaten our weight in those things. I'm telling you.
It's not possible to eat too many of these?
No, in fact, that's actually, we did not put iron in this product, which is really good for kids' brain health for that exact reason, because iron is the only thing that can present a lethal risk if kids overdose on them.
Wow.
You might not feel, good if you ate, but there's nothing bad that's going to happen to you.
No, I mean, I could see myself eating the whole bottle.
Yeah, you got to be careful with these.
We're going to make Smarty Snacks, which are going to be this for grown-ups. But right now we have grown-ups buying these.
What about liquid stuff? Because we talked to her originally, and Gordon, your partner, was telling me, you may have, liquids are liquid vitamins are a possibility.
Well, for infant and for prenatal, that's the next place to go. So we have a whole product pipeline, but we want to make sure that we get sort of the core messaging right before we start introducing additional products.
As an internet-only brand, what is your advantage, disadvantage to the sort of people who are in the Whole Foods? Does it make it more exclusive that you can only get it on Ecomom or online? Or is it, at some point, are you going to say, you know what, we're going to put this into Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Because they must be, when Whole Foods sees this, they must be like, oh my God, we have to have this. And so then you got this, really cool idea to build the brand virally online and get people, and own people's email address and have a relationship with them.
That's right.
And then that's going to basically, at some point, you're going to get Walmart to tell you, like, I want this for 99 cents.
Right.
How do you balance that?
Well, I don't think, interestingly, this product will be a premium product. Yep. It's not, that probably won't be the home for it. But it's interesting. So since we last talked, we have, I think, become a lot more willing to look at offline distribution as well. Right. Because there are people who do, there are people who will go to the grocery market, go to the grocery store and want to see it there or buy it there. So it's interesting because we're looking at it now, but what makes it, I don't know that it makes it exclusive, but starting online gives us the leverage, and that's really where we started. In other words, we build a base and a following. I can go to Whole Foods and say, I want this shelf space.
I'm
I don't want this shelf
20,000
space.
loyal
I already
people.
have customers, and I have customers in your area. I have Los Angeles customers that I can tell them they can buy it at this Whole Foods, and you're just going to get more leverage. So I think we're interested, and we would do things like having tasting, but really online allows us to tell the story.
I want to hear about your past because you were president of Mail.com, and you also worked for Clear, which was the crazy, insane Steve Brill idea to get through airports with that little badge.
That's right.
These two experiences must have influenced what you're doing now. But one thing I would like to influence you to do is to buy a .co domain. Did you see what I just did there?
I did.
Still pretty good.
It was good, man. You're good.
Still
You're always
good
very good.
Always very good at the sales pitch.
Yeah.
But hey, .co is essential. Everybody, because you guys have. What is it? Get SmartyPants?
We are SmartyPants.
We are SmartyPants. We got to get SmartyPants.co.
Okay.
.co. Oh my God! People in the audience are going to buy it.
Gordon's watching, I'm sure.
Yeah, and somebody in the audience, if you do buy it, it is your humble honor to forward it on to me so I can give it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. So you like that.
Yeah. Over 500,000 .co domains have been registered in the last 2 months. The tagline, of course, create your own opportunity. .co is the new web address that gives you a truly global, recognizable, and credible option for branding your online presence. Pretty credible, .co, right, Tyler? I mean, it's your company. How many have you bought? Over 10 or, I'm going to get, over 10 or under 10. Everybody in the audience guess. Is Tyler over 10 or under 10 yet? Over or under? I'm going to say you're right around 8 or 9.
A little under.
7? Exactly 7?
Yeah, I don't buy a lot of domains, but
strategic.
Yeah, just because the .co is used everywhere around the world. .com, Americans don't realize that's really a lot of just USA and Canada.
Yeah, but .co is global.
Right.
Yeah, and Venture Hacks has launched its popular Angel list on angel.co. It's a whole new chance for you to get a great domain name as opposed to .com, where you're going to get. Well, let's face it, you're going to get screwed when you try to buy something. Trust me, I've bought these things, and I have been screwed. But now I'm just buying .co names, and I have a ton of them. And if you go buy one, just purchase it with the hashtag twist. I'm sorry, don't purchase it with the hashtag twist. You're going to go to GoDaddy to buy it, because they don't even have their own website. They work with GoDaddy. So go to GoDaddy and buy it, but thank .co. And you'll also be included in the iPad giveaway. So you get 2 chances to win. Everybody's listening to the show. If you hear my voice, it is your Geary. It is your humble duty and honor to thank the sponsors. Without the sponsors, you wouldn't get free independent programming like this. And boy, it's not cheap to do this. If you could see this studio and the amount of cheddar I have spent here, it's a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches, like 50,000 of them. And we couldn't do it without the undying support of .co. They've been a great, great advertiser, and I'm working with them, with the CEO personally, on I got a couple of the big domains that I may be developing with them.
That was one of the best sponsor acknowledgments I think I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the sponsors. I mean, it's great when you can do something like this with a staff of 12 people it takes to run this operation, and we do it consistently, twice a week.
Yeah.
It's and for over a year now, 81 episodes in. I mean, people tell me this is the show where they learn how to be an entrepreneur. I mean, and every week I learn how to be a better entrepreneur.
And you get to hear the stories. It's such a fantastic thing. I love it.
As I tell people, I got my MBA by doing Silicon Alley Reporter because I got to hang around so many smart people and hear them tell me where the future was going. Tell me about the early days of the internet in New York. Tell people what it was like. First of all, this is like,
we slept in bunk beds. We never left the office. Our first investor, I remember, was Cy Newhouse, and he would meet at 5. He wanted to always meet at 5:30 in the morning.
Ouch.
And so we would sleep in bunk beds. At Riddler, we literally slept in bunk beds in our office, and we just never left. That's what it was like.
and you were 25 years old at this time.
I was 22.
22. We're all out of
23.
school.
Yeah.
And boy, we had the time of our lives. It was an incredible
So
moment,
fun.
right?
It was amazing, and there's so many of those guys. You know, Nick Butterworth, there's so many of them still around.
Doing
that we
stuff.
get to see. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Michael Diamond, actually, interestingly, doing skip hop.
Isn't that
incredible,
cool? We talk all the time. He's given us great advice, and skip hop is great.
How is it different to run a
product?
Yeah, like there's actually something physically here. It's not digital.
It's fun,
versus doing these other things that are so digital. I mean, what's the difference?
Well, you know, I kind of transitioned from, because Mail was a media play, so was CNET, so was Riddler 24/7. But Clear started to move into the area of seeing your customer. So that's where I got hooked, honestly. For me, it's so cool to combine kind of the learning and what I love about the community of internet, startup, and the people involved.
Sure.
With something real, because not that the internet's not real, but when you hand it to someone or you see someone there's just it's hard to.
This is
I think
what
there's
I'm
a very
doing.
Visceral, I think there's a very human, sort of visceral quality about connecting in that way, and you see someone eat it and they're like, "Wow, that's amazing!" And you
Delicious.
I don't know. It's just it moves me in a way that just air doesn't.
And it's also kind of like if you have 10,000 people come to your website that day, you would never know because you feel just as lonely because you didn't get to meet them or anything like that. But when you hand one of these to somebody who's going to test
phenomenal.
it,
Yeah.
I mean, wow, it becomes like a completely real experience.
Connection, yeah.
So Clear, if people who don't remember, was started by Steve Brill, who had started the what was the legal channel called?
Well, Court TV.
Court TV.
He got the cameras in courtrooms.
He got the cameras in courtrooms. Obviously,
Brilliant guy.
Brilliant guy. He has a brilliant idea. Post 9/11, I believe.
He wrote a book just after 9/11 called After that was studying kind of what happened with the security and the creation of TSA, and as he was writing the book, saw the disaster that was looming that would become our security process after 9/11.
Right.
And he had an idea, and he wrote a Newsweek article about it and said, if no one starts this company, I'm going to.
Wow.
And I met him because we were working.
So gangster.
Yeah. He is, I have to say, Steve is one of the most incredibly driven people who always has these ideas that no one in their right mind would ever undertake.
Right.
And yet he does manage to get them off the ground. And that is his defining, attribution that I learned a lot from, which is everyone
Quixotic.
said no. Yeah. And he's just, anyway.
He's a bulldog.
He is a bulldog. I mean,
I've met the man.
unquestionably. Yeah. He's not. You don't forget. You don't forget meeting
I tell you
Steve.
something. I talked to him because he was interested in buying Silicon Valley Reporter at one point. And I remember that meeting. I was like, "Whoa, this guy's intense, man." I thought I was intense.
It was a badge of pride that I was his longest-lasting COO. So I was his founding COO, and when he started the business, we were working on something else together. And he said, "I'm doing this." And
a lot of people work at startups. How do you deal with like a maniacal CEO type? I mean, he's a screamer, yeller, crazy man. How do you deal with somebody like that? You sort of got to talk them down from the ledge sometime, or you got to stand up to them and then they respect you? I mean,
I think
what's
I
the
had
secret?
a penchant for it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I had a pattern of like these amazing mercurial sort of CEOs. I think it's sort of respect. The yelling I don't really care about. If we have an understanding of mutual respect, he never really did that stuff with me. Right?
So it's sort of two groups of people.
Yeah. And so there was a point, honestly, where for me it wasn't okay anymore, and I left. I mean, I'd been there for 4 years, and we had the business was launched and stable, and I was like, I want a different environment.
Yeah.
It works very well for the first year and a half. It does not work well when you have 1,000 employees, hundreds and hundreds, of employees all over the country, hourly worker. That doesn't work well.
You can't be the maniacal CEO at scale.
You cannot. That temperament works very well when you have a lot of walls to push through.
Right.
So you just need to know, if you're the maniacal CEO, you got to have that awareness. Okay, I need to get this thing rolling, and then I need to step out. If you're the person working for them, you need to know that person has enough vision to know that they need to step aside.
Yeah.
Because you can deal with it, but it's not as sustainable. It's just not.
It's hard to scale, when you have somebody who's that maniacal. Although Steve Jobs seems to have done it.
Yeah, well, and it serves
It's
a
rare.
purpose.
Yeah.
And you have to have the right kind of team around you, and it serves a purpose, which is there is no one I guarantee you, that could have gotten Clear off the ground. And it was and is a brilliant idea.
And the idea was basically what?
Fast pass for airport security. That you do both the people in that line of service and you do the rest of the security process of service, because everyone actually moves more quickly. It's a toll road.
Right.
So if I take all the people who know how to do this and have pre-qualified to this line, we actually we processed more passengers than were processed before.
Yeah, and those
and you don't
people
use
pay $100 a year.
That's right, and it pays for itself, and we're not using taxpayer dollars.
Right. See, I was totally going to sign up
an
for
idea.
it, and then I was going to sign up for it, and then it sort of shut down, and it wasn't at LAX, so I was always like,
it was about to be. That was a classic. That was unfortunately got tanked by some investors. That was one of the more frustrating things I've ever seen.
if it was at LAX, I absolutely would have done. Tyler, you have an insight?
I always thought that I would love that service. A lot of that for the customer is the sort of ego of it. Like, look, I don't have to wait in line. I think they'll pay for that. Like,
right.
they get a good feel. Besides the convenience factor of spending less time, they get that, like, I'm special feeling, like Starbucks experience, whatever. But to kind of take that one more level would be if there was a special guy at the curb when you pulled up at that gate and you didn't do a damn thing. You just get out of the car and they like.
But that's overhead. So the problem with
That
all
does
those
cost
things
more,
is
but I think-
bodies cost more than anything else, which is really the problem with that.
Right.
But it's a genius business. It's actually been relaunched. It was bought.
Yeah, what's going on? It's been relaunched.
It got bought, which is fantastic by a great group out on the West Coast, and it was always a great business. It unfortunately, basically, a team of investors on the follow-on round bailed at the wrong time. They were 4 months from profitability. They decided to cut costs instead. Half the board resigned and said, if you do this, you'll run the company into the ground. It's exactly what they did. They brought in consultants, tried to run the business, and you cannot run a business like that way.
with consultants. No.
Ran it into the ground, and then, of course, it got bought, and now they've relaunched, and they're honoring all the old customers, which I love. But it taught me about customer service. It definitely, we had a 99%. We had a 99% renewal rate, and we had doubled our prices every year.
Wow.
And it was because people
So when it started, it was like $50 or something.
felt that, well, it was $100, and then it became $200, and
Right.
then $300. People really felt the connection to it, and it meant something to them. We would get these letters, hey, I get to spend an hour more in the morning with my kids now because I know it's like the old days. I don't have to go to the airport 3 hours in advance.
Right.
And so I became addicted to that communication, and Steve and I called customers every day. Every day. And that, like Jody, that's why we love Jody. We met Jody from Ecomom, and we were like, this guy gets it. The customer service, that is how you build a brand.
Yeah. How's it changed, though, with the social media stuff? Because now you've got everybody talking, everybody's got a platform. I mean, has anybody written like, my God, these are too sweet, or I don't like this ingredient, you guys suck.
For sure.
And so how do you deal with that? You engage, you do not engage, you engage aggressively, you engage with kid gloves. Is there a best practice you're developing yet?
It'll be interesting to see how this scales, right? So right now it's easy because it's smaller numbers, so we engage. We always engage. Gordon and I, and we have a marketing person as well who always communicates with people who are posting. And I think that feedback is great. It doesn't have to be negative just because it's not what we want to hear. It can be, oh, this is information. We should be in front of that. We had people communicate about the dusting. Oh, is there a lot of sugar in that product? We hadn't thought about that because we knew it was really low in sugar. It only has 5 grams per serving. But we wouldn't have known that unless we started hearing from moms, I'm worried there's sugar. Oh, well, now we put it on the front of everything. Only 5 grams of sugar.
I see. Right. Because they see it looks like gumdrops coated in sugar, so that dusting.
So kids love it, but it tastes so good
so
that
that's
people
not
are
all
almost
sugar,
worried.
probably, or.
Well, it's only 5 grams. It's a very small amount of sugar.
But the dusting must also be for the look and as well, so they
and
don't
it keeps
stick
it
together.
from sticking together into their fingers too.
See, that's an interesting one. So something a product improvement that you would have never have thought about from a product concern that you didn't have comes
exactly,
and then you change
because you listen.
I mean, that's really is what it's about, huh?
You have to be unafraid of bad news. You have to be. It's okay. Not everyone's going to love this. And listen, this is our baby. It launches, and someone said, "Oh, my kids didn't like the taste." We're like, "How is that possible? Every child loves these vitamins."
What is this? Is this kid like a Poindexter who's like never been let out of the house? This is
No,
probably a kid
it
who's
just
not eat
happens,
anything
though.
that's not a green vegetable or something.
No, I mean it happens. It's fine.
Wait, a child did not like the taste of
Listen,
this?
almost
That is
every child has
crazy.
gone crazy for these, but you have to be. You can't. You have to just be open to hear people's feedback because they're gonna. That again, you might come up with a different product and they love it because the way you responded to them was so open that they love the brand, irrespective of the taste, or irrespective. Now, every kid loves these. It's true, like kids go crazy for the taste, but you just have to be open to hearing that stuff. I think the social media thing is genius, but you've got to be open to it. You got to hear it. You can't be. You don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to say we're only going to listen to the great stuff and ignore all the bad stuff.
Product was a little late in launching.
Yes.
As an investor, I noticed these things sometimes.
Yeah, hey, bring it on.
So, no, I don't. I've been late on a couple of deadlines myself. And it's a lot of great products, people come late. What were the things that held you up? What were the things as an entrepreneur that took longer than you thought? And why did it happen?
So It actually wasn't the product itself. The product itself went through sort of the stages it was supposed to. It got FDA, met all the standards, and did all of that.
Well, you had to do all that stuff, huh?
It was, yeah, you do. You have to meet sort of you have to go through what's called a stability trial to make sure that it has, here's what's on the nutrition label, that it has after 12 months what you say it has.
Oh, so you have to wait a year, or there's some way to accelerate it?
No, you do an accelerated stability trial, but for a label claim, you have to say this is good for 12 months.
You had to learn all this stuff, huh?
I had to learn all this because that's fun.
Yeah.
That's clear. We didn't, I will tell you, we weren't anti-terrorism experts or aviation experts. We knew, this is the entrepreneur thing. Yeah. All you have to know is what you don't know, and that you know how to go out and ask questions. You're not supposed to have all the answers. So we learned all
How long
this.
did it take to learn about making a supplement and making the claims and the legal issues?
We're still learning. But, the first year, we spent a year really first making the mix, and this is a hard mix to make. Getting the DHA in with the regular multivitamin ended up being a lot harder than most, which is great. It's a barrier to entry. It's not simple to do. But that took a while, and then the FDA, FTC, which is a whole separate thing, right? Claims, label claims, which is different than FDA, what's actually in the product.
Interesting.
We did all of that, passed all that with flying colors, went out and got the right lawyers, made sure that we were really, really, really conscientious about making sure we checked all that.
And this can't be a cheap process. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars to figure out the legal stuff around this.
Tens maybe, but not, maybe 15 or 20. If you have the right lawyer, if you know the questions in advance so you're not wasting time. With an entrepreneur, it's like you do as much research in advance as you can to make those calls as inexpensive as you can.
Right. When you get on the phone with the lawyer, you have your ducks in a row.
All the questions laid out.
And there's no pleasantries. Like, a clock ticks. I would like an answer to this question. Yes or no. And then well, we have to discuss it. Let's discuss it right now. Boom. Next issue. I've got 7 issues to discuss with you. And then you... 36 minutes in. Do not round that sugar up to the nearest 15 minutes.
That's right. And we're lucky. We've had amazing experience. We have a great, amazing lawyer, Dan Burnham, who's the company lawyer, who's been phenomenal. So who's a trained, kind of done a lot.
And they'll work with you if you know you're a startup. You have to ask them.
That's right. And you say, look, if you share in the risk,
you don't ask, you tell them.
Yeah.
I like that style.
I worked with Steve Brill, a lot of lawyers.
Right.
Guy started
so you tell them this is how it's going to go down. This is how much we're going to spend. You got to cap it. You got to get a reasonable bill.
And and in advance, you're going to tell me if you think there's an issue. But we're going to realize that this is what we're dealing with, and I think it works really, really well. We haven't had any legal bill surprises. We've had none of that.
And that's what you're trying to avoid, is a surprise.
That's right.
I had a surprise once with Joey, and it was like Joey's our lawyer.
Yeah.
He's a sort of This Week in Startups lawyer, because he does all the work with the other startups here. But yeah, that we had done one contract, and then I had done one raise with him, and then as part of it there was an employment contract. I had assumed this was all part of the negotiated fee, and then there was like another 40% for that.
Right.
And I was like, dude, wait, I thought this was all one thing.
Right.
And he's like, well, no, an employment agreement is different than like a talent agreement is different than this. And I was like,
expensive lessons.
What's the best you can do? And he's like, well, we did the work. And then I said, well, what's the best you can do? And he said, split the difference? I said, right answer.
Hey, that's
Boom.
great. Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah,
you can always ask for a
ask.
deal. You don't know until you
until
you ask.
But I actually didn't answer your question about using my bridging skills. See there?
Yes.
I
like that.
Yeah, thank you. The answer about the delay. The delay was actually technology. So, and this is so here you have 2 internet entrepreneurs who've launched brands and launched companies. We have a lot of experience
publicly
in technology.
traded companies, in fact.
Yeah, exactly.
You were the president of Mail.com.
I was. That's
so,
right.
I mean, that company went public.
That's right.
You weren't president after it went public. You were pre.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was always, always an interesting
experience. How old were you when you were the president of Mail? Were you 26 or 27 years old?
No, 30, I guess.
I mean, that's still incredible to be like, wow.
It was an amazing experience.
That's a big company, too.
Public company.
Not fun.
Not fun, because you're just managing to the expectation instead of what's happening.
Yeah.
No, we had a great business, so we were very fortunate. It was in a down time, we did quite well. But anyway, so the delay was technology, which is that it was an assumption we should have made. Someone who was great at brand would also be good at technology. And it's sort of like, when you're a startup, you start to be in a hurry, right? Because you're thinking, I got to get out, I want to get out to the market, I want to see what people think. And you start missing the assumptions that when I cared less, it's sort of counterintuitive, I probably would have paid more attention to. So here's the deal. I'm so in love, I wanted to get out, I love this product. I'm hoping that something's true, which is that someone who's great at branding is also going to be great at technology. And usually those two things do not go together.
Right, it's a left brain, right brain thing. So you trusted somebody, they were a little bit slower than they needed to be.
Right, and they did a brilliant job on the branding. The technology wasn't there, and we found out at the 11th hour. And so we spent basically 60 days sort of riding that ship from a technology, shopping cart, all that stuff.
What does that do to planning in terms of budget and stuff like that? You had enough cushion, no big deal?
Really fortunate. That was not a cash investment situation, so we preserved the cash. We have very low burn, so it actually didn't cost us much in terms of.
This is like a 3-employee company or something to that effect.
Yeah, well now we're 4.
4,
but 2 of the two, no salaries. Gordon and I, and the 2 others are being paid mostly in equity. So
great,
it's a great low burn situation.
I like that as an investor, and so did a lot of training for design work, technical work.
That's right.
How do you negotiate that? If somebody says, "I'm going to do a $100,000 job for you in branding,"
right?
How much equity do you give them? Do you give them like $2 for every dollar of this? I mean, how do you negotiate that?
It's so hard. It's so hard because we did it so early, right? Now, with a startup, I think you have to give yourself some wiggle room. So what I would suggest is when it's that early, you have no idea how much work this person's going to do relative to that person. It's all so there's got to be some. And it's hard to even create a list of deliverables because you don't even know what you're going to need 6 months out.
There's a massive give and take. Yeah.
We went through a process of it being more of an open conversation, and then once we got to the real deliverables, that's when the equity, the fair trade was set up. So we actually ended up with a great deal.
Yeah, and what are you talking? Low single points or half points or 5 points? What's the range?
For the amount of work that they're doing, you're talking about between 1 to 5%. Because this is when you have this is the very early. This is before we'd even raised
day
funding.
0. Yeah.
This is like we haven't
negative
raised.
100.
We're not getting them a dime. It's a big act of faith on their part.
Right.
Right. Because they're not. We haven't raised money. We haven't done anything. So.
Yeah. So what's next? What's the transformative thing that you guys need to do to get to that next level? If there's something that keeps you up at night, or you said, I wish if you could wave that proverbial magic wand, and one problem is solved. What problem do you solve? You get one wish, boom, I can fix this distribution thing, I can fix this product thing, I have pricing, whatever. What's the one thing you think would just unleash the business and get it to scale?
The most effective way to communicate the vision. So I know the audience, but the email, the landing page, that combination that will sort of hit the switch for that audience. That's the learning we're in right now. We just actually launched with Trada.
Oh, really?
Yes, 2 days ago. Phenomenal.
You found out about it from the show, or
yeah?
Oh my God, you're kidding?
Yeah, and we really like them.
Trada. I love Trada. Everybody loves Trada.
Gordon loves Trada.
That's awesome. So he was watching the show. He saw the Trada thing, and he said, "We got to buy SEM."
Yes.
And how have they done for you as a?
Well, we just started.
Just started, okay.
But I will say this: 1, at the beginning, phenomenal. 2, already, Gordon. The feedback today was that he's already starting to get some information, and it's just such a genius, right? The combining of those 2 things of SEM and this crowdsourcing. I mean, it's awesome.
Did you use the twist code and get 10%?
I don't think we did.
Make sure he uses that twist code. You can use it retroactively.
Yeah, nice.
It's just amazing that, like, during the show, so one of the people watches, it's like a whole community.
It's cool,
Next
right?
thing you know, you're going to have a .co domain registered at GoDaddy. Let's do the news. It's a slow news day. It's a slow news day. There's nothing going on, so we can all relax. By the way, is my wife here with the baby or no?
My wife is, yes.
Is the baby here?
The baby's here, yeah.
What? Can I see my baby? You're kidding. Somebody came and said, can I have the keys? But I think we may have to. This is the first time, if she's actually here, this will be the first time. You're going to bring her over? Oh, wow. Wow,
cool.
Stay tuned. My baby is going to be on the program. Lon, Courtney Lon.
Hi, Lon. How are you
Lon
doing?
is our amazing creative director here at This Weekend. Lon, I know it's a slow news day. You had to scrounge around for some stories. Tell us the first one.
A reasonably sized story today. Of course, TechCrunch Disrupt going on in San Francisco right now. AOL CEO Tim Armstrong made a pretty big announcement. AOL will purchase the technology blog TechCrunch. No specific terms of the deal have yet been announced. Armstrong did a special post on the blog announcing we have acquired TechCrunch. He called it a world-class investment. I ran in here, I'm sorry. Heather Hardy, Chief Executive Officer of TechCrunch, said, quote, TechCrunch and AOL share a motivating passion for quality technology news and information, and we're delighted about becoming part of the AOL family. Also, you might not know, just since the show started, Mike Arrington tweeted you, hey, @Jason, miss you, buddy, really.
Oh, very nice of him.
So, I'm sure everyone wants to get your comments, your thoughts. First of all, on how big a deal you think this was and what the terms of the deal might have been. Here's that tweet if you're curious. And also just your general reactions to this deal, what's happening in the world of TechCrunch and AOL.
This is tough. I obviously was going off of my Twitter account, and I said what I needed to say.
Right.
I can't say much more because my lawyers told me it's time to shut up.
Oh, okay.
What I will say is I'm happy for the staff of TechCrunch. There's a very hardworking staff there. And I enjoyed working with them on the TechCrunch 50 event. And I wish that this could have ended differently.
Sure.
That being said, I am going to be launching the launch conference, and some sort of editorial product will go with that. And so onward and upward. Congratulations to the team over there. They worked very hard, and they deserve the success they're getting. Congratulations to AOL. They've been great to the brands that I sold them, and I think it's a great company. So I am very happy for everybody, except for myself, because I did get shortchanged. But these things have a way of working themselves out, and I don't think we've heard the end of it.
Fair enough.
Courtney, would you like to comment on my legal?
Yeah, I think not. I think I'm smart enough to know and not to say anything.
My lawyers were like, this morning my lawyers were like, no more tweets. I said, okay. So, moving on.
Moving on. Let's move on. So we'll stay on the topic generally of Mike Arrington. We'll move on a little. His allegations of possible collusion at a downtown San Francisco meeting of high-profile tech investors. It's come to be known as Angelgate, still hanging heavy over Silicon Valley. No, we don't have any concrete knowledge of exactly what was discussed at the meeting. Nobody's come forward with sort of notes from it yet.
Yes.
That did not stop Ron Conway from publicly slamming the participants, in particular Dave McClure. So some of the topics Arrington says were discussed, complaints about rising deal valuations, how the group maybe could act together to keep VCs out of deals, how the group could keep new angel investors from driving up valuations, and maybe even a wiki that all the members would be on where they would discuss all of these kinds of topics on an ongoing basis. So do you believe these claims, first of all, is my question, like that the actual illegal activity was going on? And is this even possible? I mean, could angels get together and fix valuations?
The illegal allegations type of stuff is not true. Okay, Dave McClure runs the Open Angel Forum in Silicon Valley for us. He's a great guy, cares about startups. For some reason, he's getting thrown under the bus in all of this. At an Open Angel Forum up there with all the major players, we discussed things like the legal cost around starting a company and how we could collude to lower startups' legal costs.
Right.
Basically, as a united front, say to the lawyers, can we make this paperwork cheaper? We'll pay you to make cheaper paperwork so that when SmartyPants is raising around, there's a way to do it with just like this 5-page document that gets done for $2,000 as opposed to $10. So is that colluding or is it collaboration? Now, these angel investors would step on their mother's face and then kick their dog in order to get into the right deal, literally.
Right.
So if Zuckerberg comes along and Dave McClure and this person and that person want to collude to get in, they would go, oh yeah, let's all collude on this price. Then all three of them would leave and then offer double to Zuckerberg to screw the other guys.
Right.
This is a competitive business. It would be like colluding to have a tie score in baseball or the NBA. It's impossible. It makes no sense. People are there to make money. So Mike and I are friends for a long time. So again, I don't want to start doing character assassination or anything like that. Mike is a tremendous voice, and he's a hustler. These are the good things about Mike. However, Mike explained to me his editorial process when we were friends, and his process is, I will throw something out there and see if it sticks. And facts be damned in some cases, because he can say, oh, well, somebody told me, or according to this person, and that's exactly how it was represented. So when I read it, I said, okay, this is Mike floating an idea.
Right.
And you know what? He's not the only journalist who does it.
Sure.
And, somebody could say to him, like, yeah, they were talking about valuations, and then he could fill in the rest.
Right. So it's like the Fox News, like some have said thing.
So
like
it's exactly what it is.
Saying, you know,
and you can tell that that's exactly what happened because after all the things sort of blew up, one of the people, Mike Arrington himself, said, you know what, it's important we get back to work. And let's forget about all this. That's because people came to him and said, like, what are you talking about? That never happened. And so his way of not admitting that he either fabricated it, exaggerated it, or something in that range. I don't think he fabricated. I think he exaggerated it.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people are accepting at this point this meeting had, like, there were angel investors at this venue.
It happens all the time.
Right.
Yeah, Open Angel Forum happens all the time. And by the way, entrepreneurs talk about price all the time. Angels talk about price all the time. They talk about it with each other. And that's why in the Open Angel Forum, we took price out of the equation. We said, and Tyler and I counsel people on what valuation to go in there with. And I counsel them, this would be considered the high, this would, just so you know, you'd be on the highest range. You'd be in the lowest range. You'd be in the middle. So Tyler, when we do this, how many times do I tell somebody their valuation sounds reasonable or it's low or it's high?
About 25% of them, maybe 20% of them come out a bit high. Some are just ridiculous. Like, they just don't know. And you're
They don't know.
They literally just, I mean, they're so way out of whack. That
Right.
and it's a tell that they don't know. It's like, look, you're going to look silly if you come in with that
valuation. Like the guy who
valuation.
had the dance company.
Oh my, $16 million valuation with.
Guy he wanted to do for dance what Ticketmaster has done for concerts. So for dance performances,
smaller market,
he was going to have the ultimate destination for ballet and jazz. And it wasn't just ballet; it was all dance. You have to understand.
Yeah.
Well, you got to justify $16 million valuation. So he was raising, he was raising like $4 million on a thing, and he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be the ultimate pour." I was like, well, "How much is the entire business worth if you sold every
single ticket to every
and got 50% of it, would it even be $16 million?
This is good news for SmartyPants.
Absolutely.
But
so anyway,
back to the point though, one of the angels wrote a post about here's what we covered at the event. Actually, Chris Sacca did.
Yeah,
and Chris, by the way,
ultimate integrity.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I have my own personal backstory on that, but I completely agree with that. He covered exactly what was covered at that Open Angel Forum that night.
Yeah.
Almost bullet point for bullet point.
Because I think that's where they got the ideas for the topics.
There's no doubt that's where they got the idea.
And you know what? Actually, thinking back to it, who is the person who said, let's have a conversation at the end about some issues? Dave McClure.
McClure and Clavier and...
McClure and Clavier are leading the train, clearly.
Yes. And they were
but they would never collude.
No,
that is
but
such nonsense.
The points that they were bringing to what you touched on initially were all very pro company.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Sacca was so upset. He's like, look, if you were there, you would have
And that's why Ron Conway's piece was it was so weird for him to slam everybody and tell them, I never want to work with you, I hate you guys. It was very uncharacteristic of and uncollegial of Ron.
Or just maybe a bit assuming, perhaps.
Yeah.
He didn't like how it smelled. I mean, I have utmost respect for Ron, but the points that they covered it was like deja vu, like those
all over again.
And the thing is that Open Angel Forum, the companies were in the room when those conversations were going on.
Yeah, we had it as a group. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
There's nothing to see here. Move on is the basically it. But what's your experience with the angel investors? You just recently closed a round. Are they all colluding to try to destroy you?
Well, I actually find it funny. I think it's more about the art of the possible. This isn't like some packaged goods product where you could sit down and have a conversation about, here are the 3 variables, let's price fix something. It's so wild and woolly and all changes so quickly.
Yeah.
There's so many variables. I don't even think that's possible. It's not like there are 7 companies out raising money to start vitamin co- I don't even think I can't even imagine how it would be possible, to be frank. Like, to truly do something like that, to price fix it. Certainly wasn't our experience. And I think they're rapacious in the right way if they're good angel investors, to your point, which is they're not colluding with anyone. They're out there to get their return.
Yeah, they get their return. And you know what? Trust me, it's not about how much money you put into the company. It's about how much you take out.
At what
and at what price.
Value,
so,
right.
like, if this whole thing like, oh my God, we have to block this person or block that person, that's not how anybody thinks that I know of. People call me all the time like, hey, I'm putting 100 into this, but you put 25 into this. Or I'm putting 250 in this, I'll step back for you, you can put 50 in. I mean, you want these other people involved. There is safety in numbers. If you guys have 10...
And we want that, too.
Yeah, if you have 10 angel investors who are out there tweeting and sending, like this Christmas, I'm sending these as gifts. I'm going to buy like 100 bottles and send them to all my family. This is my gift for Christmas. If you get 10 angel investors like that buying 100 bottles each, just moved 1,000 bottles to affluent people. I mean, it makes no sense. Yeah. And
Use your code, by the way, when you do that. Your SP Jason is still good.
SP Jason is good.
For 50% off and free shipping.
Where, at the site?
At wearesmartypants.com.
Everybody go to We Are Smarty Pants right now if you have any Gary honor, unlike my Gary shit. No shit. And what do you type in?
SP Jason.
SP Jason.
Capital J, lowercase a S-O-N.
Okay, SP
Jason.
Okay.
50% off and free
You should get in on those because they're delicious.
They're
the other
so
one's
good.
open.
Yeah.
I was going to try one, yeah.
Okay,
Not
is my daughter ready to make her debut?
No.
She here?
She's in the building. I saw her.
London Athena's in the building. Let's do one more story. No. Oh, what are you talking about? My wife left? That is unbelievable.
That's such a
I just teased it. She, camera shy. Well, you guys get to meet her. She'll be 1 year old soon. Let's do another news story and then let's get out of here.
Well, we can talk about TechCrunch Disrupt, or we can move on from the world of TechCrunch
Is this
overall.
This Week in Arrington? I mean,
I know.
Are you guys? Is this like are you guys punking me? Are you trying to
This
tell
is
me?
the news this
Move
week.
on. No more
All right.
Arrington.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's like Trader Joe's pancakes.
Insights from Thailand. 'Cause Thailand
That was
is
worth the full
smarter
one,
than
huh?
Wow.
Wow, that was worth
Trader Joe's pancakes.
Yes.
That's what it's like. How
Yes.
so, Tyler? I asked.
Well, it's sweet, but it's not quite like it could have been much sweeter.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite feel exactly right. Like you're.
The generic brand might not be as good as the better.
No, the generic. In the case of pancakes, the generic, is better. You want the Waffle House. You want the IHOP. You don't want Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
You feel like.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel right.
It just doesn't quite feel
Trader
right.
Joe's
It's good. I mean, it's good, but you're happy for them. Great, but it should have been. It could have been. Could have
been a contender. Next story.
All right, so we'll talk about Twitter. Twitter is hoping
Love
to
the Twitter.
monetize everyone's desire for more followers using its new promoted accounts product.
Wait a second. Go ahead.
We're building to it. The company revealed its latest ad product at the IAB conference in New York. Basically, businesses can pay to be a part of the new Who to Follow section to gain additional visibility. Promoted tweets are already going for almost $100,000, so there's obviously going to be some interest in promoted accounts, and there will be an algorithm, so it'll align promoted accounts to users based on who they're already following. So Mashable's example was, if you're following PETA, they won't recommend Tyson Foods to you, for example. So you had already talked about this. We talked about that. We can go back and find the show where you actually said...
No, I made an offer.
You would pay money to...
Be on the suggested user list.
Right, be on the
exactly
suggested user
this
list.
idea. I offered them $250,000 for 2 years on the suggested user list.
Right.
I'd have 3 million followers, like Ashton Kutcher, 4 million.
Yeah. So definitely saw this one. Do you remain as bullish on it to this day? Would you still make that deal? And so how much would you pay? Would you still 250 is the number?
Yeah, I would probably be getting a bargain. It all depends on how many impressions you're going to get and how they're going to do this. They're not going to give one person access to everybody, and everybody has to follow that one person.
Right. No, it's all algorithmic.
Yes. So followers, real followers might be worth a quarter or 50 cents or something. Who knows? But it's going to be somewhere in that like cost per click range. And then how many can if you get for every 10 you get, if you keep 3. So if it was 33 cents each, and so whatever you may be with the attrition, you get to $1. There's some formula that people will do, just like Google AdSense, and it's up to the marketers in an auction format to figure out what the best ROI is. And in some cases, they might be worth more. Before Christmas, in the fall, when people are trying to get followers, actually in the summer, well, actually I can think about this in a minute. In the spring, the movie companies are going to want the followers so that they can promote movies for the summer blockbusters. In the summer, the retailers are going to want people for back to school, and in the fall, people are going to want people for the Christmas holiday, the online retailers and stuff like that. So it will be seasonal, and you will have people like Amazon fighting it out to get followers around Christmas, and certainly Target and whatever, and you're definitely going to have like what was the Expendables? Will be like, oh my God, we have to be the top person. So it's brilliant, and Twitter is incredibly effective because they've really. See, unlike Facebook, where it's like, in the ghetto over here are some ads, and they just sort of rushed it and put it up there on the side, so people know not to look there. What Twitter did that was so well is they waited and waited and waited, and they let people build their authentic personalities. So there is an authentic JetBlue tweeter now. And so when that person comes to promote themselves, like, well, the JetBlue account's been going for 2 years. That person's got a personality. They understand how Twitter works. So you're promoting something of value. And so what they'll do is before a movie, they'll write into some star, like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he does Terminator 4 or whatever, they'll say, oh, I'm going to get $250,000 in promotion on Twitter for my personal account. And part of their package will be, just like they get to go on the nightly
Sure, the
Tonight Show,
whatever, yeah.
it'll be part of that. They'll say, well, we're going to spend $250 on getting Arnold another 250,000 followers, and it's going to be like the stars will be really psyched because they get to keep them after the movie.
Yeah, why not?
It's so brilliant. I mean, Twitter is impressing me more and more. The last release was so well done, and I thought that those guys were sort of product handicapped because they were so bogged down with keeping the service up and
Just the
running
site up, yeah.
that all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're not talking about Twitter being down. And then all of a sudden now we're talking about Twitter adding incredible features. And now we're talking about advertisers being in love with those features and those features being sold out at 6 figures each day and whatever. This company is going to be a very significant, worth tens of billions type of company with billions of dollars in revenue. It's absolutely clear. Everybody will have a Twitter handle. Just like everybody has a Facebook handle.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I just think it's certainly effective if you use it correctly. For people like us, how it's the math that you just talked about, right? The CPA. We still have to see. I think marketers aren't quite as effective yet in turning Twitter followers into actual purchasers. So whether the math makes sense for us, it just remains to be seen.
We just give a bottle of those away if people follow.
Well, we do that for sure. That stuff we'll do.
What is your Twitter account, SmartyPants?
It's SmartyPants Kids.
SmartyPants
Kids.
So everybody follow SmartyPants Kids, and if you do, you might get a free bottle.
That's right.
What's the? They were asking in the chat room. What's the age range that these are for?
3 and up.
Okay.
3 and up.
So it's okay that I.
Adults, we have a lot. They're good for grown-ups.
I'm going to keep them in the office for people. I'm going to give everybody a little cup of them. They taste like candy.
And you get to take 6 a day, whereas kids only get to take 4 a day. So there you go.
Tyler's eating about
Get your
40.
DHA. It's good for you.
All right, last news story, and then we're going to get this show done in a record 1 hour and 5 minutes.
All right. LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman announced at TechCrunch that Disrupt that he will be forming a new $20 million seed fund at Greylock Partners, known as Greylock Discovery. The new fund will allow Greylock to move more quickly on early stage rounds. Any partner can trigger a deal for between $25K and $500,000 without bringing the other partners in first. The $20 million will be part of the VC firm's 13th overall fund, which they raised last fall, totaling $575 million. According to Reid, Greylock has already made 4 investments through the fund. He did not disclose which startups were funded. So how important is that nimbleness factor, I guess you'd call it, the ability of the VCs to make these kinds of early stage deals without bringing the other partners into play?
It's critical.
Yeah, that's genius.
It's absolutely critical if you're going to compete in the angel space, because you have to move quick. And you also don't want to miss things. And I can tell you an insider story. When I was pitching Mahalo to Sequoia, everybody wanted to do it. One partner had concerns. And so I said, okay, which partner? And they were like, they didn't exactly think that I would sort of drill down that deep. And I said, who is it? Let me come in and talk to them and see if I can answer their question, because I'm interested in learning, even if we don't do the deal together. And I had already gotten buy-in from some of the top guys there. And they were like, yeah, we want to do this. I said, well, maybe he's got a really good point, and I can learn and iterate on the product. But that took 3 days, and I had to. And he basically was concerned, like, well, and actually it was really interesting. The concern. He said, can a person who is not a subject matter expert make a page that is compelling? And I said, sir, of course. More compelling than a Google result or whatever. Yeah, of course. Tell me what you're interested in. And he said, well, I'm interested in motocross. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And I made the page myself, and I brought it to him. Actually, I emailed it to him, and I said, what do you think of this page? How did I do? And he goes, it's incredible. Motocross.com, you didn't put in the top 7. That was back when we had these were our top 7 handpicked.
I remember.
And he said, why didn't you pick them? I said, well, I went to the site, and it's just a landing page. And I looked at the Alexa rating, and it was very low. And these other sites had a lot of traffic, and their content was updated more frequently, and they had better design. So obviously they were spending more money, and this person's not spending anything. He said, but motocross.com is like is the best domain name you could ever have. I said, yeah, but if you went to it, you have a bad experience, so it shouldn't be in there. He goes, that's incredible. I've been trying to buy motocross off this guy, and whatever, and you got it right. Deal approved. Right. But it doesn't always happen that way. Somebody might not like you. And so a lot of these firms have stories where they passed on Twitter or Zynga or Google because some partner, being the dumbass they are, was like, I have a problem with that. What's their China strategy? And you always have like a couple of naysayers or whatever. And
that's why entrepreneurs are nervous to go to VC. It's why you end up going to the angels, because you know that that's not going to happen. They're going to move faster. They might say no, but they'll say no and you can move on.
Yeah, it's it's like going to an arbiter versus going to a jury trial.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I would like to just know if I'm right or I'm wrong. Then get the hell out of this meeting and go to the next one.
It's brilliant.
And so it's really smart. And the other thing that happens is they can still go to them and say, "What do you think?" And they say, "Oh, I'm going to do it anyway." And then they can learn from each other. You were right. You did it, and it worked. I should listen to you more. And then they can listen less to other people.
Yeah.
But Let me tell you something. There are some VC firms that will break up over somebody, torpedoing another person's deal, and then I torpedo your deal. Guess what happens when I bring her in to do my deal?
Right.
You're going to bust her balls.
Right.
Well, now 1 minute and 4 seconds.
You can say that.
It's okay.
No, they're going to bust her chops, right? Because I brought Jason in, and I love Jason, and he's been my boy. I've known him for 2 companies, and you asked him all these stupid questions and made us look bad, and you don't want to do the deal, and now I've got to convince you, and he's got to convince you, and then I bring her in, and you bring her in, and then I start busting her chops. It creates this very bad dynamic. And then they're like, oh, well, we all have to believe in it 100%. That's the stupidest thing ever.
Right.
I mean, if you got 15 people or 20 people, what 15 people are going to agree on everything?
And what time are you wasting having all of those?
Yeah, I mean, just...
Yeah, I mean, all systems like that are always set up to be very conservative, to not move forward, move slowly.
The market has changed.
Like the government.
The market has changed radically. And there's so much money available to so many startups from so many different sources that can work faster than you. If you don't work fast, you miss the deal.
That's right.
So it's a great thing. This has been a great episode. Courtney, thank you for being on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
The audience loved you, and they can find you at
wearesmartypants.com.
So Courtney at wearesmartypants.com if they want to email you directly. There you go. And where can they buy? What's the best place to buy? Should they go to?
They can buy us at Ecomom.
Okay.
And they can buy us at wearesmartypants.com.
Got it. And if you go to We Are Smarty Pants, use SP Jason.
That's right.
And you'll get 50% off.
And free shipping.
And free shipping. My God, you're losing money on this. Maybe a break even. What a great episode. Tyler, thank you for the insight. The audience is going crazy. Thanks to the crew. Another perfect episode. And what else is coming up today? Am I doing the Annie Duke? Oh.
You are. You're
Do
doing
people even know about the pilot?
I think we've talked about it a little bit. I think you mentioned we were working with her on another
we're working
show.
with Annie Duke on a pilot, and I'm going to be a guest on the pilot.
You're going to be a guest on the pilot today. We're shooting that. We're shooting it. It won't air live. This Week in Poker is going to air live.
This Week in Poker is coming up.
But after This Week in Poker, we are going to shoot the pilot that will not air live.
Okay.
I'm thinking the Andy Duke show within the next week or 2 will be on the air.
But my show probably won't be released unless we do like a special.
Maybe it'll be fantastic. Who knows?
We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.